It's Happy Rainbow Fun Time, back and better than ever. We are loud and proud webtoon lovers, and we don't care who knows it.
Oh, you have notes. Like
I have a
notes.
notepad. Well, I have the notes here, but I have the notes here, and I took this so that I could take notes today.
She gestured to a phone, her head, and a notepad, just for people who aren't watching the video.
Right. Sorry, I'm just assuming that all y'all are watching us on video now because I got a webcam. I'm just like, why would you go back?
Why would
That's
you go
fair.
back?
What if you're driving? Yes. Okay. So today I'm here to talk about Walmart fresh and ready meals. If you're a longtime listener, you may remember that I did a segment once talking about frozen food, and it was so fun because I love I like criticizing silly things really, like in a real manner. I just think it's silly and so fun. But I did not want to cook, so I went to the grocery store, and Walmart was closest, so I went there. We still spent a lot of money on like essentials, but I hadn't bought the essentials in a long time. So I was like, I think when I break down this cost, it makes sense. But I was like, oh, $235 at Walmart. Oh, that's just a lot of money to spend at once. That's not food, that's my bias. Anyway, so I got these 3 meals. I got chicken Florentine. So the red and green sauce, Italian style, no cheese, just disclaimer. But big noodles. So white chicken breast slice that looked grilled. It had grill marks on it. This was not frozen. Like I said, this was fresh and ready. Had still needed to microwave for several minutes. Like, I think over the 3 dishes, the time range was like 7 to 9 minutes. It's a long time.
Per or total?
No, each meal, the time that you had to microwave it ranged from 7 to 9 minutes.
Got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And it heated up like a motherfucker, but it made the sauce actually stick to everything, which I was like, okay, someone did like some product testing at Walmart for these meals. The chicken, I'll just go through all 3. The chicken and the chicken Florentine, oh my God, it was so moist. That's probably why it was 7 to 9 minutes in the microwave. Yeah, but like tender, juicy. I was very taken aback. But I love a red and green sauce. It was like pesto and tomato or whatever. Mixed it up. It was very hearty for one person. I ate it the same day, so the expiration date didn't matter. I was so glad I ate it. It was definitely big enough for one person. I would say like, this is such an arbitrary measure, but like, think about going to your favorite dinner place. Like for me, it was a Tex-Mex restaurant. Portions were always huge, right? Think of that portion you could split in half. This portion was like 75% of the meal. It was like just a little extra. Like you didn't need that full half portion where you're too full. I was like, I'm sated. I was like, this is wild. Okay. Yeah, easy instructions. Everything looked tasty. Like it wasn't ugly. The sauce, when I microwaved it, didn't separate into like a weird watery juice and sauce. Like it held together. I was just so mystified. I think I texted you that same day. I was just like, yo, this is crazy. We gotta talk about this. Okay, so the second one was pad thai with chicken, which I like pad thai a lot. I was not expecting any sort of like phenomenal pad thai. I was just like, I need that tangy sweet taste with
peanut butter crunch. Sorry.
Yes. It was less peanutty than I would have liked. I really like Thai food for peanuts, but yes. Okay, so what I got was I got the family size portion. So think let's see.
Entire Mexican platter.
2 whole 275s. What's that? 150? 1.5 portions.
Okay.
Yes, that is what I'm trying to think of it like visually. Like if I put it on a plate realistically, because I have to talk about this with guests at my job. They're like, how much food is this? And I'm like, it's X number of bites. And they're like, what? And I'm like, do it. I had one guest and I was like, this is 18 bites. And they were like, okay. And they finished their meal and they're like,
your plate is an 8.5 by 11 dish. How many do you need to be able to hold the volume?
the pad thai was one paper, but like the edge of your, the thin border on the cover of your journal would be the lip. So it's like full. There's no,
and then like
you're not cutting out any space.
Depth, we're thinking what, like an inch in height or like 1.5 inches?
What's my
son? Like that's a big plate.
Yeah, big boy. I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. I was like, I'll taste test it first, see how it is. I have some frozen veggies in my freezer and some meat if I wanted to fuck around and like augment it. That is definitely what I should have done. I got noodles, bean sprouts, which was surprising, but also like perhaps not, just because microwaving bean sprouts for as long as I had to was just not, they weren't crunchy. Made me sad. We were trying to steam everything and I love crispy bean sprouts. So I'm just like, I would rather they not be in there, and I put them in myself. And black and white sesame seeds, which were so cute, but again, I'm steaming them for so long. The coloring on the black sesame seeds like leached onto the noodles, and I was like, I think
you dyed your noodles.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I could just sprinkle them on top myself, thanks. But then it's just like
they should have been in like separate packs.
Oh, absolutely, but none of it was like that. It was literally the easiest, like peel, pop one corner, and push in your microwave. Peel, pop, and push. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit is gold. This week has been so hard, y'all. Like, comedy has been it. Anyway, that was the second meal. So I didn't even, I'm at a point in my life where if I don't like something, I'm not gonna fucking eat it. Like, if I am feeling too lazy to cook, I will eat it. But like, if I don't want it, I'm so tired of that, like growing up at the table and like having to finish your plate. Like my parents were split on that issue. So it was a very weird situation to be in. Yeah, so I just did not eat the second portion. I ate a lot of the first portion, made all these thoughts about the next time I'd make it, and then decided I'd rather just make the whole dish from scratch. I was like, okay, pad thai is not something that I can like stoop down to that level. But that chicken Florentine was amazing. The third one was...
Pause. You didn't finish the pad thai. There was a second option and you were like, no. Okay.
So like there are two portions. Like I said, family size. I ate one portion for myself, and then I had a second portion left over because I could not eat all of it, and I didn't touch the other portion, and I just threw it away. We'll talk about the prices at the end. The third dish was a lemon butter garlic chicken. Same kind of situation as chicken Florentine, chicken breast with grill marks, sauce, you know, not congealed yellow, but like congealed yellow. It's ready to serve in a fridge. And I would say wide flat egg noodles. I think that was both chicken Florentine. Just think like, is linguine thicker than spaghetti?
Yeah. Fettuccine is even thicker.
Fettuccine is the noodles that I ate because it wasn't quite linguine. So fettuccine noodles. Okay. I didn't look on the packaging. I should look on the packaging next time I do these things about like if it contained egg, but it wouldn't really matter if you have chicken on it, you know what I'm saying? But people with egg allergies and stuff like that. Lemon butter garlic chicken was good. Pretty good. Chicken Florentine blew it out of the park for me. But it was good and I would buy it again. The sauce was very flavorful. I was taken aback. The chicken, I don't know if I just needed to microwave it a little bit more or whatnot. If I like there was a range it gave me, and I like, chose the wrong number, and I was just too hungry or something. I think I could have let it marinate a little bit more in the juices. I also think on that one, I popped more corners of the film on the lemon butter garlic. Pop one corner of the film. That was the chicken Florentine. I think keeping it pretty tight to like steam and revive everything is key. And this is like with no formal testing. This is like me just remembering what I did, and I'm just like, yeah, that's probably what it was. So yeah, extra pleased. So the solo portions, the chicken Florentine and the lemon butter chicken with garlic, lemon butter garlic chicken, yeah, were I think $6.99 or $7.99, like an entree, but like an affordable entree, like a sandwich, but it wasn't a sandwich. And I love sandwiches, 10 out of 10. And then the family portion was $11.99, and I was pretty upset about paying $11.99 for this super basic meal, like super duper basic shit.
That you didn't eat all of.
That I didn't eat all of. That's not why I was upset. I was just like, if I had a family, which I don't, thank goodness, but like if I had a family, I would not like, oof, that's a lot. I'm paying $11.99 and I'm also cutting into my pantry, you know what I mean? I would rather just make it myself. It'd be cheaper. But overall, an interesting experience. I have never bought HEB fresh and ready meals or Sprouts fresh and ready meals because they're expensive, but Walmart's were like at a price threshold that I was like, let's fuck around and find out. I was like, I'm only paying this amount of money. My expectations are like minimal. I didn't have high expectations with the pad thai. Like I said, I just like, so much money for such little, I dyed my noodles. Like what? The brain sprouts wilted and I dyed my noodles. Whew. But yeah, it was an experiment. I just chalked it up to science in the podcast and the lols. I was like, it's
science.
A science.
When I see the like ready meals with the grilled chicken, even like the frozen ones or the like fresh-ish ones, I always imagine that those grill marks are just like stamped on.
Yeah, that's what I was implying. So I'm glad
like a
that
post-production, like, okay, we've like boiled the chicken or whatever, and now we're just gonna like draw some little lines on it.
Maybe they stained them with black sesame seeds. So it's like
maybe they cooked them with they steamed them with the sesame seed on top, and that just like made it all.
Someone's job is to lay out the sesame seeds in real lines on the chicken.
It would take less manpower to just grill the chicken, but obviously that would just be silly to do that. What a whirlwind. Okay, we're gonna come back with comics in the news.
Katie found some great comic news, so get excited. Comics in the news.
The sassy voice is always like, recording in progress. I'm like, how did you get that job? Like, as a voice actress, like, what does that look like? Does your agent just come to you and you're like, we need you to just record recording in progress? Or is like, how does this work? I have questions.
Yeah, Siri, the voice for Siri. Could you even imagine what that is like?
Well, and that's a real person. Like, there's videos of people meeting Siri and her just being like, oh yeah, I'm Siri. They're like, can we ask you things? And you respond as Siri. She's like, yeah, it's like my voice. So let's go. I think it's funny. And it's just like series is just like hours of her reading words, like individual words for like days. So actually, when we were like, Katie found this thing, technically Max sent me this article because he's on Reddit more than I am. So like shout out to Max for finding this for us. But I thought it tied in really nicely to our conversations about AI. I don't remember if it was last week or the week before or whatever episode we talked about kind of like AI generated art and the ethics of it, how the data sourcing should be done, how compensation should be done with artists, like our opinions on it, etc. And this article is really interesting because this artist largely does like fantasy book covers. Like they have repeatedly done book covers for this one author, and as kind of a typical promotion thing, they added their art to the Reddit subreddit r-art, and was accused by the mod of posting AI generated artwork and claiming it as their own, and was banned from the sub. And was banned from the subreddit. The article that we're referencing is on BuzzFeed News. If you Google like BuzzFeed art subreddit illustrator AI art controversy, you'll find the article itself. I'll link it in the podcast description. But essentially, this artist, like I said, they submitted their work, and they actually, you can look at their work on DeviantArt. The pseudonym that they use is Ben Morin. They're the lead artist at Cart Studio, which is based out of Vietnam. They have receipts of edits of like things done in Photoshop and Illustrator to prove that it was something that they created. And even the author of the book was like, no, I commissioned this piece. I've worked with them before. This isn't fake. And the moderator's like, no, you're banned. I don't care. And people have gone to the sub and have been like, let them back in, whatever. And the moderator's like, no, if your art looks too much like AI, I don't care. You're out. And yeah, so now you can find the art on their Twitter through their studio. You can go to their DeviantArt and see like, oh yeah, this is their style. It's very soft and painted looking, and I can see how you could think that this is AI generated, but there are actually posts of various iterations of it, and apparently she has specific types of files that AI generated art don't supply and different things like that. So very interesting. Of now there's artists who are not in fact faking it and then are being reprimanded as though they are. So it's just kind of like, what's the solution? And I think the fact that they've been able to provide the receipts and the mod is like, nah. It's like, dude, are you just jealous because they're really good?
Yeah, that was the frustrating bit for me at the end of the article. The artist wasn't even looking for an apology. They're just like, I just want to post my art in this subreddit like everyone else. And there are people commenting and quoted in the article. I went through the subreddit a little bit and read some of the comments, and people were just like, what are the moderators doing? Like, why are they doubling down? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, the specific part of the receipts that I found fascinating was that making the layers for the drawings, I believe, is the bit, and making iterations of said drawing is the crucial part that AI can't accomplish,
right?
Which is like without a doubt proving that this individual did this piece. So I feel like maybe this moderator is perhaps not aware of how AI works, AI generated art works. And when was called out for their error, did the human thing of getting really fucking defensive and fucking shit up for everyone.
Yeah, so
I hate it.
The quote from the message from the mod is, so Morin, the name of the artist, contacted the moderators to explain that they had not used AI, sending them a link to their portfolio. they were blown off. I don't believe you, a mod wrote in a message. They went on to say that even if Morin had painted it, it is so obviously an AI prompted design that it doesn't matter. The moderator signed off the message with, "Sorry, it's the way of the world." They then muted them, preventing them from making their case further. And then some quotes from members of the community include, a number of other subreddits covered the controversy and users rallied around Morin. The level of mod abuse is absolutely shocking. One Redditor wrote, "It's not just that the artist was wrongfully banned, it's that when they appealed, the mod doubled down, called them a liar, and insulted their art." For a short time, the mods of art made the subreddit private, claiming they were being brigaded or attacked by other subredditors. So maybe don't turn around and attack mods, but definitely rally behind something that you see that's a wrongdoing. You see that on the internet a lot, is like, oh, this person did something wrong and I'm gonna harass and attack them. Like, I can see just based off of how this mod acts, attacking them is not going to solve any issues. And even rationally talking to them isn't going to solve any issues. Like, abandon the subreddit. You can abandon the sub, and like collectively a group can be like, all right, art too. And like start your own one or what. But I
hear you. Is there no way to like, I am not a subreddit person, so I'm curious to know if there's not a way to like oust a moderator. Like, are they just permanently in power, like a little group of dictators that like,
I'm not
how is there a
sure.
moderator? Okay.
I don't really know how that works. So Max was a mod for a subreddit that he ran for a podcast that he really liked. And so he started the subreddit years ago, and there was a small following of it, and people would post things, and it was kind of like, I think he was able to find like old recordings of the podcast through it and different things like that. And he was contacted by one of the producers of the show and was like, "Hey, I'm trying to start like an official subreddit. Could we merge? Or could I take over as mod or whatever?" And so Max relinquished his subreddit to the producer of the show because he was like, "Yeah, bro, like it would be great if you guys ran this. I'm just running it because it didn't exist before." So you can't hand it off. I just don't know if you can like oust. I don't know if you can like take out a hostile dictatorship. Like,
yeah, like a board of directors situation. Like, if you need to get one of them out of there, like what does mod on mod moderation look like? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm personally not privy to that. I think one of the cool things about Reddit is it's kind of been like run by users for users. So I think historically there hasn't been a lot of site specific control unless there was like some sort of like discrimination of some kind, like from not just like, I don't like that your art looks like AI, but like racial discrimination, sexual discrimination. I'm like, I think there's been some things from that standpoint, but I think the idea is like putting the power in the people and allowing the mods to moderate how they see fit. But obviously this mod is a little stuck up.
Yeah, they're just like, that's the way of the world. I'm like, that's the way of your world, my guy. Who the fuck are you? I'm just like, what? That's crazy. You have become OP because you have r/art. You know?
Yeah, it's a lot of power, and it also can be very stressful. I get it in the sense of like you're trying to make sure that everything is done like fairly and ensure that it's not just getting like bogged down by advertisements or like fake shit, but like there's got to be like an appeals process that's done fairly versus like, I think you faked it, delete, and like just ending the conversation before there's a chance to like move further. And just based off of the way that Morin has spoken, it doesn't seem like they're fighting in the sense like it doesn't sound like they came in like with flying punches to the mod.
No,
That's not
sad.
the vibe that I get. It's just more of a like, hey, I don't even want to necessarily like post this one again, but it would be nice to just like be able to be on it and post other works that like could be approved again, but they're just so totally banned. And that does block them from, you know, potential income, because it is kind of like this free advertising thing that everyone else has access to. People post their art all the time and can get commissions through that. So it's just kind of a bummer. So as we continue on through these AI conversations, just another note, like, yeah, there are a lot of liars in the world, but if the person has receipts,
like I said, I just think it's highlighting how this moderator is clearly the like issue here. It is just this individual. Like, I think it's just this person. So shout out to Chris Stokel Walker, who wrote the BuzzFeed article under BuzzFeed News that we just like dissected. One point I wanted to circle back on, though, was that the individual who commissioned the piece from the get-go is an author of a fairly popular book series, from what I'm gathering from the article and in the subreddit. So the fact that this person with such clout, with an overlap that I think would be a non-zero amount in the r/art subreddit, you know, between this fantasy or long form series book writer and the art subreddit. Like, they commission individual art pieces for the cover. Like, they're gonna be on this shit. And they came out to support Morin, and nothing happened. So I'm just like, that's when I started thinking about mod on mod moderation. I was like, y'all didn't see this come out? Like, there's no way this didn't trickle into anyone from the moderation group. Like, y'all are on the internet. Come on now.
Yeah, the fantasy fiction author is named Silky Myth, and they have, I think it looks like there's 11 books in the series. So this cover would be for the 11th book. And the books are called Beneath the Dragon Eye Moons. And all of the art looks pretty similar. I think it was mentioned that Myth has worked with Moron before. So you even have just the history of these book covers of like, these book covers were kind of made before this like AI art kind of stuff kind of got out of hand. So you can even just like go back through the portfolio and see, oh yeah, this is just another like iteration of their art style. And their art style is hard. Like, the fact that they got paid $500 for like 100 hours of work, I'm like,
is a steal.
Charge more. Like, your art is incredible.
The author was literally like, this is a steal.
Yeah.
I'm literally getting a steal.
And I don't know, I'm like curious about like how that the conversion rate from like $500 US to what that equals in Vietnam. So like, maybe that's like big bucks in Vietnam, but I'm like,
let's see, we'll do the conversion right now. Vietnamese dong. Okay.
Like,
oh yeah, I think that's what it is, bestie. Let me it's like 100. It's like 11.7 million Vietnamese dong.
$1. Oh no, $500.
Or 500 United States dollars.
The damn.
One Vietnamese dong equals 0.000043 United States dollars. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, so I guess that's like the other thing is like, it's a steal because the living expenses are very different. I was like, $500 for this masterpiece, like, that's fucking nothing. But you know, when you take into consideration that it's gonna be like significant for the artist, like, okay. Yeah, so I guess like the moral of the story is like, hey mods, like, listen to your users and don't be a dick.
Maybe just like do some self-reflection this year. It sounds like you're going through a lot. Maybe you need to talk through some shit. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Coming out of the gate hot.
And as far as the artist goes, again, the studio that they work out of is called Cart Studio. You can find them on Twitter. And then the pseudonym that they use is Ben Morin, and you can find their stuff on DeviantArt. And that is a wrap on Comics in the News. A recap.
Up next.
Up next. Yeah. Up next.
She's like branching phrase, searching brain for branching phrase.
I was trying to say like another episode in the AI series, but that didn't really happen because words are hard.
We're doing it live, y'all. We don't script any of this shit, so you're getting it unfiltered and raw from Katie and Elizabeth.
Unfiltered and raw. Up next, an unfiltered and raw webcomic corner.
Webcomic corner, the part where we talk about comics.
And we're back for Webcomic Corner. It gets 2 jingles. So as promised last week, last episode, like I said, new year, new pod, we will be following through with the things we said we do, which includes talking about
that was Canvas. So emo. Wait, your little emo shine through right there. Just feeling angsty about how much work she's put in so far. We are following through. Katie's the best record keeper.
One of my favorite like social media formats right now is like angry people yelling and then musicians using it as like an early 2000s emo intro, and it'll just be like a mom being like, yes, and I can't, and just like, and then you just get the like really low, just like guitar riff, and then the drums come in with just like the snare and the hi-hat, just like Katie just wrote a song in this episode. We're following through. Yeah, okay.
Katie and I will, when I move out to California, Katie and I will probably do musical improv together. So just wait 5 years or so. It's kind of what we do in college at our job. Improvised musical, baby.
In the training room?
Yeah.
Yeah. People thought we were weird for sure.
You know what? That's okay. They were all coked out anyway.
Is that what was going on? Oh, that explains a lot.
Well,
okay.
Some of them were.
Okay, so comics on that note. Mm-hmm. So we said we would talk to y'all about some Canvas comics today. So we're going to, for a refresh or anyone new here, anyone who's new, we mostly talk about Webtoon because that's a very convenient app. They have 2 different versions of comics. They have what are called originals, which are kind of like Webtoon sponsored comics that, you know, authors get paid for. They have an editor, etc. And then there's there's a different part of it called Canvas, which is essentially where independent artists can post their comics on the platform, but they don't necessarily get support from Webtoon in any other way. They don't typically get paid. They don't they don't have as much marketing. They don't have an editor from Webtoon, etc. It's really more of like a hosting platform.
Yeah. It's a hosting platform. You have the ability, like you're on the platform, right? So if you market yourself outside, you have a place to send your people. That's like, I mean, you could send to a personal website, but there's no way that I think it's free, right? To host on Canvas. You've posted some stuff, right?
I have not posted anything personally. It's been like on the list of things to do. I just like haven't gotten around to it.
You need to post no one.
Yeah. So my understanding is that it is free. They used to have a program. I say used to, it like just ended. They had what was called the Creator Rewards Program, which started in 2018. It was originally going to be temporary. And the idea was as Webtoon started getting more ad revenue. It was like an ad revenue share with Canvas creators, which was kind of like an added nicety that wasn't in any contract, wasn't guaranteed for any like long period of time. And it lasted for 4 years. December of 2022, they announced to Canvas artists that the program would be ending. They would get their last royalty check in January of this year, 2023. And they would not receive any more checks afterward. I don't love
gotta
it.
be upsetting. We don't love it. It's sneaky and gross and oily and weird. It's sneaky and gross and oily and weird. Come on, give them a heads up. Give them a heads up. People, 4 years is enough for people to form a lifestyle around this. If you've made an audience over 4 years and you're relying on that as income, it's fucking shitty. You are a shitty person to not say something.
Yeah, I think more than a month notice would have been very nice. My other thought too is I think
at the
minimum. And I think we've talked about like AI things in the past of like how artists should be compensated for their work. If Canvas artists aren't going to be compensated for ad revenue that is showing up on their comics, there shouldn't be ads at the end of their comics or on their pages. Like that should be how that works. But maybe that's, and then the other part of me is like, well, that's the fee for using a free program. You're using a free program. They get to put ads on it. I don't know how
it's
that
not
works
written in the contract. Yeah.
I don't know those contracts. Because like on websites,
I'm kill to get my hands on a contract. We rip it to shreds. Both my parents are fucking lawyers.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Does anyone have a contract that they can send it? I guess I could just go through the terms and conditions. I'll make an account. I'll go through the terms and conditions.
It is posting snail.
Yeah. So, but I think of like when I've created websites and I haven't wanted to pay fees, a lot of the time websites will say like, you can have this website for free, but we're going to put the GoDaddy logo at the bottom of everything. Oh, you can use this video editing service for free, but it's going to be watermarked. Like that is a standard practice across a lot of platforms, but it is like a major bummer that for 4 years, artists were receiving revenue and now the terms are changing. And most terms and services will have like a asterisk at the bottom is like, these can change at any time without notice. And it's like, that's what like the legal department puts into contracts to like cover their asses. And it's just kind of a bummer that it's now, reeling its head for these artists. So that's one of the reasons why we wanted to shout out a couple artists from the Canvas section and then give you some ways about how, if you get into a Canvas comic, things that you can do off platform to support them.
Ooh.
Yeah, so off platform, what you can do to support them. It's like the same as any podcast. We talked about it before, is like you can find their Patreon. Most of them have them. You can buy merch. If you don't have like the ability to like monetarily support them, find their social media, interact with their social media, follow them. A lot of artists are able to get like brand deals through the amount of engagement they have on social media. So those are kind of like the big ones to help out Canvas artists if you want them to support them in any way outside of just reading the comic.
Having this be our webcomic corner intro makes my pick for weekly picks even more interesting, because homie like has always been offering this for free online before he got onto webtoons. I just like, there's so many creators who've made so much beautiful, impactful content and fucking stupid shit on the internet that have done it for free to entertain us for so long. Like, I don't know, Katie and I always wanted to do, Katie and I always wanted to do some sort of content together. We thought it'd be a YouTube channel. Now it's a podcast about webcomics, but webcomics is what brought us together. So like, I don't know, I'm just thankful for all of these comics. I thought about taking away my donations this year and just like donating to my comics that I like so much and like becoming a patron to support like real ass people that I want to like continue to do what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
if I'm putting where my money where my mouth is, I'll do it often. I'm more of a time person. I'll like binge your whole series, you know what I mean? So that you can like, I'll like every single comic. But money talks.
Money does. It does. So on that note, the weekly picks. Mine I actually found off of Instagram, which is really funny. I actually most of my
ad or an account that was suggested.
It was an account that was suggested. Like it was one of those like you're just like scrolling through the existence and you're scrolling through the void and I found him.
The sponsored post for you.
No, I mean like algorithm post. It was like, yeah, you're on the like search page and they just have like infinite shit. So as I was going through the infinite shit, I found this comic. It's called Pixie and Brutus. It is by an artist, Pet Foolery. It is a comedy. The series focuses on the unlikely friendship between Pixie, a tiny, innocent, joyful kitten, and Brutus, a huge, scar-faced, retired military dog. And I followed this comic for like over maybe 2 years now, exclusively on Instagram. And then when I saw that they had started a Webtoon account, I followed them because that's like good for them to have like followers on Webtoon and things like that. Wow. So I did start following them on Webtoon. And yeah, it kind of chronicles this story, this like little friendship of the pair. And Pixie will be doing something silly and like try to be all fierce and like try to scare one of the other neighborhood pets, and the other pet will be like, ooh, I am not fazed by this small kitten. And then Brutus will walk up behind her and be like, yo bitch, like with his eyes, and the other pets will like act scared or whatever, or just different things. If anyone's ever picking on Pixie, like they got to check that Brutus isn't around because he'll wreck them. You get a little, I want to say you do get a little bit of backstory on Brutus. I will say I haven't stayed like wildly up to date most recently, but there is some comics about like his experience as a military dog. He like not a fan of fireworks like at all, and that is essentially like the dog has PTSD from being in a war zone, which I think is a really interesting like crossover of like human feelings and dogs, and almost like people are kind of assholes and like sometimes care for animals more than they care for other humans. So it's kind of like if you put it into animal form, it's like if the animal is feeling this, like what is the human feeling.
And it's animated, so like their fucking defenses are down. They're not thinking they're absorbing this shit. What a platform. What a little what character. That sounds cool. Okay.
Yeah, really
I was ready to write this shit off.
No, it's cute. It's cute. It's like really cutesy. It's kind of like a slice of life comedy with a dog and a cat. Pet Foolery does have a tiered Patreon, so you can like go and get exclusive comics. Like there are stuff that I think you can get early through Patreon, or you can exclusively get through Patreon. So they have that pretty extensively built out. And they have some other comics that they'll post. I think there's some dinosaur stuff that's really funny. The biggest one is Pixie and Brutus for sure. Yeah, and that's my canvas pick. Kind of an odd one, but it's a fun one. It's real cute. The posting schedule is fairly irregular. I think they do a lot of commissioned work, so they kind of have to work. The Pixie and Brutus is kind of like worked around commission schedules, but a couple posts a month of Pixie and Brutus.
So up next, I have a comic with a long history on the internet, a little bit longer than Katie's on Instagram. This comic I discovered first when I was in high school in 2013. Like it had just started being posted in 2012. I was on my laptop. Webcomics were something I looked at a lot during class when I like had downtime. My friends and I would swap them. Questionable Content was the original. This one came second. The title.
I read Questionable Content. I was wondering if this was the same artist.
It is not the same artist. It is just a like influential comic of mine that I dropped in high school and then have picked up recently and happens to be on Webtoons. That's the whole trajectory of this like piece of Elizabeth lore. So the title of this very much hyped up comic is called Vattu, Vattu by Evan Dahm. It is a canvas comic where I'm accessing it now, but this comic was originally posted on riceboy.com since 2010. So I guess I found it 3 years in. The comic has always been free, as I alluded to earlier in Katie and I's conversation, but his Patreon does exist. This comic is a fantasy drama, which is something that I've been looking for recently. I'm so happy it happens to be this one and as a canvas. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons lately, so I've been really wanting to like scratch my fantasy itch. And this comic has a lot of world building. All the characters are not human, which is really nice, but they have different like races and classes of these individuals, these beings with magical powers. There's a magical element. I am still early on in my reading, so I'm still learning all the rules of the magic, but there's like some crazy dark shit going on. Anywho, Webtoons says that Vattu is a fantasy epic following Vattu, a member of a nomadic culture, and her involvement with a conquering empire. Set in a world full of strange creatures and serialized since 2010, also at riceboy.com. Updates Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. There's so much to have because this comic started in 2010. So if you're looking for something that updates fairly regularly, this comic is for you. Oh no! No!
We interrupt this program for Elizabeth to have a sneezing attack that could last up to 5 minutes.
It's so dramatic. I woke up this morning and everything was terrible. And so I've been upright for several hours and everything was better. So, anyway, pardon my allergies, my allergias, which you can hear about in our exclusive Patreon content. Look at that. If you subscribe, you can hear us talk shit before we start recording. Anyways, back to Vattu. Like I said, this comic has a lot of interesting magic, world building. Vattu, the main character, is a part of a group of individuals called fluters because they have a skill to play a flute. They are nomadic culture, so they're always moving around. An empire, a different race, is coming to conquer all the lands. So these nomads are being pushed out. Vattu goes on an epic adventure. It is an epic. I think what I've been looking for is a really long story that I can follow and like learn all these characters and see if they ever like meet and merge. And there's a couple storylines going right now of different characters we're going to meet. So that's exciting. But the illustration is when you first view it, I would say it looks very simple, but when you look into it, quite detailed. Like it is easy on the eyes. You don't have to drink in a lot of details, if that makes sense. Like some of the like Korean romances that you and I read, the outfits are just so detailed. Like the lace, you can like zoom into the pixel to see every single thing. I think these images from Vattu are more soft, but still, like I said, detailed. There's a lot of beautiful landscapes. Like there's a whole geography that this artist has created. Evan Dahm in 2006 is that's when he started making comics at the beginning, like not the beginning of the internet, but like, damn, such a long time ago. Has always been free. Dahm makes other fantasy adventure graphic novels, has been mostly self-published online at riceboy.com, of which you can find all the works, including Vattu. Dahm says that his work tends in the directions of invented worlds, lost histories, and character-focused drama. If there's anything else that I've parroted more on this show, it's that I love character growth and development. So refining this comic has been really awesome for me. So I can only speak good things about this comic, even though I haven't finished it. I'm excited to see what happens. And Dahm was nominated for the Hidden Gem category on Canvas Awards, of which I voted in specifically, which is so cool because it is a hidden gem, even though it's been on the internet for so long. Having it come to such a big platform as Webtoon, to me, I'm sure as Katie's Instagram comic as well, it's just so satisfying as a fan. And like, we've talked about this on much earlier seasons about fandoms and how they can be crazy, but Katie and I are pretty great fans. Like, Katie is a long hauler and I'm a super passionate proselytizer, but Katie who's like starts from the beginning. If you want to check out Dahmer's Patreon, you can find him on Evan. Patreon.
Did you just say Dahmer? Are they just
sorry,
Dom?
Evan Dahm.
How dare you?
Don't how dare me.
Poor man.
Pop culture is in our whole lives. I have no filter before I speak.
How many times has this poor person been called Dom?
Listen, Mr. Dahm, I just need
on
you to
our
know.
Podcast after you've been a fan for over a decade. My God.
Here's the thing. I forgot about him after high school. We talked about this. This is a refinding. Mr. Dahm, I'm not certain why Katie just came for me in this podcast, but what I was going to get at was that your Patreon was open and available for business, of which I plan to contribute to. But anyone else who needs to find it, because it's bookmarked on my computer, is patreon.com, Evan Dahm, DAHM, no ER.
Is there an N at the end? There's a DAHM.
I'm looking at the Patreon, you're looking at the notes. So
okay.
It's all good. Okay. I threw that into Tricker. No, I misspelled it, but I said it right at the Patreon.
She misspelled it 4 times. It's like, oh, she's really confident with the spelling. DAHM.
It's okay. I still surprise Katie every once in a while. She doesn't know me all the way. She thinks she does, but we're learning and growing. We love character development.
I'm not going to start another fight with you on this podcast, but it's spelled that way 4 times. So absolutely. I was a little surprised when you threw out a different one.
She says she has a reason to be upset. I said, you know what happened? We can screen share and you can see that Patreon's up on my screen right now. So that's all that matters is I spelled it right for the guesties, our besties. And it's for a new comic, so it's even more exclusive because it's not out there yet.
Yeah. One thing to note, she mentioned the Canvas Awards once a year. There's like a voting that opens where you can vote for Canvas Awards that Webtoon does, and sometimes those comics get turned into originals, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it takes 3 years for them to get turned into originals.
Yeah,
because of the restructure process, but that's what the Canvas Awards are.
It still helps, gets people a lot of foot traffic or web traffic.
Yeah, there's a handful. When I was looking through the nominations this year, I was like, oh, I haven't read that, but that looks interesting. So it is kind of nice, at least once a year there's kind of a big canvas, hey.
Yeah, it seems like content refresh or a book. What am I thinking of? Scholastic Book Fair. A book fair. It's like a comic fair. They're just hey, look at all these new things we got. And it's okay, well, I'll pick and choose. I not blindfollowed. Now, I used to blindfollow just based on the avatar, and that got me into a lot of trouble. So now I go in and I'll read the description now. But I followed a lot of shit recently. From the most recent pop-up that Webtoons does, they'll be hey, check out these romance ones in February, and they're check out these family ones down around the holiday times, and you're just okay. Sometimes I'll go in, sometimes I need to find new things. We lost a lot of comics last year. It's time to refresh. I need to go through and unfollow.
I have a handful that are also on like pause between seasons, and I'm like, look here, I've been reading fucking Odd Girl Out every Tuesday for like 3 years. Yeah. And the fact that it's on pause right now, I'm like,
I know it's killing Katie. I just hope that the creator brings us a bomb ass ending, because it's been
I think that's what they're gonna do. I think they're getting ready to bring us a bomb ass ending, and like I'm stoked for it, but I'm just like,
but also rip, because it's gonna end.
Yeah,
Katie literally has been such a fan. Katie got me into it.
I'm not ready for it to end, but it's fine. I might just reread it. Maybe that's what I'll do while it's on hiatus. I'll just reread it.
Cute. We could do an Odd Girl Out deep dive now that we both read it. We could put that on the calendar. That could be fun. Me trying to help Katie. Yeah,
we can do that. We can add it to the calendar, the content calendar.
Feel better, Katie. It's gonna be a long one. You're a long hauler.
I am a long hauler. It's gotten me into trouble in the past, but here we are. Speaking of long hauls, we're gonna pivot real hard. We've got like 15 minutes left. Long haul thing that I'm doing, my bike trip up the coast, my PTO was officially approved. I'm gonna, for like a nice chunk of April, I'm just gonna bike up the coast of California, stopping along the way. I like beaches, local haunts, and yeah, that's about it. I was originally gonna stop in end the trip in Livermore, which is in kind of like NorCal, with Julia, and we're gonna like wine country it, but the weekend I'm gonna hit there. She has a birthday thing with a college friend, so I don't know if I'm gonna move my trip or if I'm just gonna be like, okay, I just won't go to Livermore this time, and like maybe go like border to border and just do like the entire California coast. I don't know. So it's kind of changed what my options are. I can move it and plan the same trip, or I can leave it as is and just like do even more of whatever the fuck I want. So
wow,
that's my next long haul. There will not be much webtoon reading or podcast making during that trip, but
okay. We'll take a scheduled break.
Yeah, scheduled break will be in April when Katie is just like MIA for 3 weeks.
We love this for her though, because when she comes back, hopefully she'll come visit in Austin.
Yeah, that's the plan. That is the plan. I almost like bought tickets the other day because Southwest was having a sale, and then I was like, slow down, like it's not in the budget this month and we need to talk to Elizabeth. We don't want to rush this. So yeah, hoping for like an early May visit to Austin.
That'll be good. I'm still trying to get into that UX UI design course. Jesus Christ. Also trying to get a new phone. 2023, new year. Time to cross some shit off my to-do list. That's my mantra. It's not new me. I like who I am. I have some shit I don't want to be doing, but like, I don't know. To me, habits and who you are different. Like,
yeah.
We could get into a whole topic. That's what we'll talk about when we open up our next podcast. We'll make it all real weird and heady. But yeah. All that to say, 2023, new things. I wrote it was off to a bumpy start. It was. I got sick and like slept through Kitty and I podcasting. But
is that what happened? You slept through it?
No. I just like when I said my allergies hit me hard, my allergies hit me hard.
Yeah.
And I had to work. Ooh.
Those male trees. God damn.
Fuck the sperm. Sorry, y'all. I'm nomming on almonds today. Almonds.
We're gonna call it on almonds. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the podcast and our video. At one point I will eventually record this outro so that I don't have to do it every single time, but I haven't done it yet, so we're just gonna do it again. I haven't done it yet. I got a life. I already do so much for this podcast.
I know she does. No, do you want me to do it now so you can go?
No,
follow us on social media at HRF Time, and if you're inclined, you can find us on Patreon at www.patreon.com/HRF time. Zazzle store, we got one. It's zazzle.com/HRF time. And we have mugs, shirts, and sweatshirts designed all by Katie. She does so much. Shout out to our patrons, Richard Wiggles and Will Nova. You can find us on Patreon as well. Like we said earlier, HRF time. Katie has made our brand so significant and cohesive. Shout out. Now she has to go do her big girl job, so we're out. Bye.
Bye.